Welcome to The Young and the Restless. I'm Zach.
I'm Olivia.
And I'm Victor. And this is the podcast where you probably wouldn't care if we just dropped dead tomorrow, would you?
So bitter.
Now I lay me down to sleep. I dreamt I had a soul to keep. And if I die before I wake, will that dream just go on for its own sake?
And it's driving me crazy because I had a dream that I woke up like laughing really hard at, like to the point where I was having a hard time falling back asleep because I was laughing too much. And I can't remember what was so funny.
Hypnagogic blue balls.
This is before I knew the name of the episode.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were saying that the title was what was making me laugh.
No, it's...
You're saying that I'm currently having hypnagogic blue.
I mean, that kind of is hypnagogic blue balls, right?
Oh, totally. And comedy blue balls. I want to know what my brain came up with that was so fucking funny that I couldn't fall back asleep.
But like, you know that if you thought of it, you'd be like, that wasn't that funny.
Probably. Knowing my brain. I mean, today I cracked myself up because I referred to rain as cloud sauce. And I was like, that's not that funny. I'm just...
I don't know, that's pretty good. I like that.
It's just highly entertained by myself.
I had a dream the other night where I was comforting this guy who was sad because his partner cheated on him. And I said, "Oh, at least you have Charlie." And I look over and he's holding this like huge portrait of a horse that looks like derpy as fuck. And I guess that horse's name was Charlie, and it was spelled like
Charlie.
like Leigh, like how some people spell like Ashley or Kaylee or whatever. Charlie.
I like the idea of naming an animal with an accent. This horse's name is Charlie, but you have to say it like a British person.
Charlie.
Charlie.
Don't come at us, British listeners.
I ain't scared.
Do we want to? What was that called? The thing you sent us the other day, the New Year dream thing.
That was Victor.
Oh, that was Victor?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I sent a thing.
Yeah. I didn't even attempt to pronounce it.
Hatsuyume.
Yeah, the first dream of the new year. Traditionally, the contents of such a dream would foretell the luck of the dreamer in the ensuing year. Do either of you remember your first dream of the new year?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I had a dream that I was with a group of people on an ice block near the ocean. And then I was suddenly floating out on this ice block away from the mainland. And there were a couple people with me. And then there were 2 orca whales that came and gave us a ride back to shore and reunited us with the group. I've also been having dreams lately where I'm a kid.
How old are you in these dreams?
It kind of depends, but like, actually, well, it's only happened a couple times, but lately it's been a few times, and I've been maybe around like 12. Also, something I was saying to Victor earlier is that I feel like my dreams pre-wedding were about kind of superficial stuff, or like just things that were kind of easy for me to be like, oh yeah, I've been worried about that. And like lately, my dreams, I've had a harder time like knowing what they might mean or connecting the dots, and that it's like getting married takes up so much space, right? That it's like a lot of my concerns are like even slightly related to that, right? And now that that's out of the way, I feel like my subconscious is like giving me dreams about things that I'm like not even really aware of yet. And so,
yeah, we talked about that in the last episode, right?
Yeah, I think we did. We did get into it a little bit, but I'm like realizing that like pre-wedding, my dreams were very easy for me to get to the bottom of. And I feel like that in the same way that like planning a wedding and being engaged or whatever is like, it is inherently distracting, you know, from the rest of everything going on with you. It's a big thing that takes up a lot of space. And so like without a big thing taking up a lot of space, I am now maybe being sent messages from my subconscious that's like, here's stuff that you haven't even thought about looking at.
Right. And you just got a new job. So
Hmm.
like that's that stress taken care of for now, you know?
Yeah.
You know
yeah,
what I mean?
I guess so.
It sounds like you're in a spot where you have the freedom to like dig a little deeper when it comes to like psychological growth.
Yeah. Yeah, that's probably true. And I'm doing it publicly for art.
Hell yeah. You're welcome, listener.
But yeah, there have been like a couple big changes since the wedding. Like the wedding itself didn't feel like it felt like a build up to something that was important and exciting, and we were happy to get all those people together and have a good party and like have a very memorable day. But like our relationship didn't change from getting married. And when we came home, we very much like after our honeymoon, we very much like settled back into the life we were in when we decided to get married.
Everyone kept asking, how's the married life? It's the same.
So like the marriage wasn't like a big change, but there has been like a few like the new job, and then like just various new circumstances, right, over the last couple of months. So maybe that's changing your mindset.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like, other than like getting used to being like, this is my husband instead of, you know, my fiance or whatever. Like there's little things like that to get used to, but like.
Yeah, I think that didn't change any. Like getting married was for us a decision to keep doing exactly what we're doing rather than to take it to the next step. It was not a next step. It was just like a big expensive party to let everyone know that we're just going to keep on doing this.
Yeah, I think that's like a trap people can get sucked into when they like think that getting married should be the thing that will change the relationship or fix the relationship, or, you know, these problems will go away when we're married or whatever. Like, I think you can fool yourself into that, but I don't think that works out a lot of the time for people.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I think that like I've seen a few people get really excited to get engaged when the relationship that they're in is actually not, you know, working that well. And but getting engaged can be like super exciting, and like it's almost just like you don't have to think about that because now you're getting married, and like you can just put that aside for now. And I imagine that in that situation, it's like once the honeymoon bliss wears off, right? You're then back to where you were, and it's maybe even an escalation of where things were going, because now there's not like, well, maybe we'll get married to look forward to.
Yeah, it's like the pink cloud effect. Like when people get sober, there's like a period of time where you're like just elated to not be full of toxins, you know, like your body starts releasing these endorphins. They make you feel really good because you're, you know, you feel like how you're supposed to, like not under the influence of chemicals. But then once that wears off, there's a huge like spike in relapse.
Yeah. Yeah, I believe that.
Sort of a weird analogy.
That makes sense to me, that like there's a connection between like life being unfulfilling and being pulled towards like an addiction, right? And so like once you are out of your addiction, you were still deposited back into a life that's maybe unfulfilling, you know? And makes sense to me that there'd be a risk of relapse.
Yeah. But that was obviously not like at all. The vibes at your wedding were like immaculate.
Oh.
And I think, I mean, people were talking about this. I think part of that was the, what was in the atmosphere is like, this makes sense. They should get married.
That's so
and
sweet.
so
That's nice.
that's a relaxed vibe to be in, where everyone's like, there's just no tension. I don't know if you've ever been to a wedding where you're like, I don't know, this is like the best idea, but we're not, I guess we're not going to stop them. So let's hit the bar.
No, yeah, for sure. Well, it's like, it's really good to hear that people feel that way we feel that way about us. So
yeah, I mean, obviously, Yeah.
But yeah, like, I mean, I guess I don't feel like there's like, I don't know. Yeah, I guess what I'm getting at is it's not that there's like some crazy blocked memory thing. Like, I don't know if I'm putting out that vibe about it, but it's not that there's like a big crazy thing that I need to confront. I don't think that that's the situation. I think it's just like I'm in a place where I'm maybe like I'm in a place where that's going to be possible. And so I'm having a harder time connecting the dots in dream interpretation because I feel like we're now in an area where I'm dreaming about things that I haven't spent time talking to Victor about, or I haven't like spent a lot of time thinking about it, or yeah, so it's just like it's not connecting the way that other things were before. My like surface level problems that I was dreaming about were like, oh yeah, this is the problem that I've been talking about in my life.
Do you feel like there's any through lines in these dreams you're having that you're not sure what to make of? Like, are there any recurring themes, characters, or situations or dynamics that are coming up in these dreams?
Yeah, so they're again, like the last two dreams that I wrote down, I was a kid. And then I've had some like unpleasant dreams where like I'm in danger, or like other people are in danger, or yeah, actually no, all of the yeah, all of my dreams are like danger dreams right now. But like honestly, if I hang on one second. I just want to look at, like, give you the rundown of like the last 5, because I feel like if I look at them, so like drifting away on the block of ice, right? I had the one before that was I was in a car accident, and the cop was trying to trick me. And the one before that was like being a kid in this weird funhouse maze where clowns were like killing people. And then before that, there were zombies. And yeah, no, it's just like, yeah, I'm having like you're in danger dreams.
Action-packed.
Yeah.
So I remember we talked about the kids being killed by clowns dream. I don't know if you want to get into that in detail, but I remember that dream ended with some adult character coming in and kind of saving the day in a really bizarre fashion.
Oh, this actually does kind of make sense with some stuff with me.
That's like the orcas on the other in the ice dream.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah. Yeah. So are there other like saviors in these dreams?
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. The last couple have had that, but I don't know that that's necessarily a through line.
But you said you might have like a real life connection that you made, or you said something about this might actually make sense with what's going on.
Yeah.
Do you want to elaborate? We don't have to.
Should I like tell a dream, or should we talk about everything more generally? What do you guys think?
Well, so I pulled up some dream Bible entries that seem to like broadly apply to the overall themes that are coming up in these dreams, and we can just look at them and see if that sparks anything for us, and then maybe dig into a specific dream. And maybe like with the context of the dream Bible entries, we might get a little further with it or something.
Okay. Sure.
Okay. So what I pulled up is young, being young. We got danger, and we've got rescue. So young. To dream of being young represents new enthusiasm or feelings of vigor, a fresh outlook on your life, a renewed sense of interest, motivation, or vitality. New ideas or wanting to try something new. Now, I think for you, usually when you're dreaming of being young, it's in the negative because you're in danger, right?
Yes.
Being young is like a vulnerability or a liability for you.
Correct.
So, negatively, being young may reflect naive, idealistic. That's how they wrote it. Or impractical ideas or attitudes. It may also reflect inexperience, being new on the scene, or being prone to making a mistake, childishness, or immaturity. Okay.
What's the bottom?
Alternatively, being young may reflect your preoccupation with your past, dwelling too much on the past, your regrets, or lost opportunities, a sign that you are having difficulty moving on. So you being young negatively is naivety, being idealistic or impractical, inexperience, mistakes, childishness, immaturity. So, danger. To dream of feeling a sense of danger represents feelings of risk, threats, or potential failure. Feeling that a loss is imminent. It may be a sign that you need to be more open about your fears or anxieties with others. Alternatively, danger in a dream may also reflect your feeling of having gone too far with a problem, a sign that you need to reverse course or be honest in a waking life situation.
Going back to Jung, there were like a list of adjectives there, like inexperienced, naive, childishness, immaturity. Like that's doesn't quite hit, but what does is like maybe closely related, which is like vulnerable and like kind of helpless, I guess. Like that's, I think, what the feeling of being a child in a dream for me is.
Okay. So, we've got helplessness, right? And then danger, which is risk of threats or potential failure, feeling that a loss is imminent, maybe a sign that you need to be more open about fears or anxieties, or that you've gone too far in a situation and need to reverse course. So it sounds like, doubt, anxiety,
I have that.
fear of loss, that kind of thing.
What are you doubtful and anxious about?
Getting married.
Just
Okay.
generalized, like life anxiety.
Generalized anxiety. Yeah. No, I think, I mean, like doubtful and anxious, I mean, it's like a self-perception thing for me, I think. Like a lot of my anxiety comes from like how I feel I'm being perceived by others, and if I am like doing well in general. Like if I'm doing a good job. Like whether that means like succeeding at work or like being a good friend or like not making other people uncomfortable or whatever. I don't know. But it can present itself in a variety of ways, but it's usually like doubting. The doubt would be like doubting my abilities or like, and like anxious about, just it's usually to do with other people, actually, I would say.
And then we have rescue. So to dream of rescuing someone represents feelings about an urgent need to be spared from neglect, danger, or situations that leave you feeling overwhelmed, feeling desperate to escape a problem. Alternatively, it may represent waking life situations where you are carrying someone through a bad time or sparing someone trouble, taking a stand or stepping up, burdens you need to escape.
Do you think we can just apply that? Because like I'm not rescuing anybody, I'm being rescued, right?
Yeah.
But do you think it?
Yeah,
well, I
there's
think
a
it
section
just
here.
applies. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
To dream of being rescued represents help or opportunities that are restoring something that has gone wrong. You may feel that someone in your life is carrying you through a problem or saving you from disaster at the last moment. Positively, being rescued may reflect your own efforts to finally stand up to a problem or spare yourself of trouble. Negatively, being rescued may reflect your unwillingness to deal with problems until they get out of hand. You may be too proud to do something for yourself. A reflection of your cry for help or feelings of desperation.
Yeah, so like being rescued may reflect your own efforts to finally stand up to a problem or spare yourself of trouble. Like I was just saying, it's like I feel like I'm probably getting these dreams that I can't interpret because I'm like in a place to maybe go there right now, I guess. I don't know.
You're in a place too? What do you mean?
Meaning that like if I'm dreaming of being rescued, that might mean that it says positively being rescued may reflect your own efforts to finally stand up to a problem.
Right.
So like if my problem is something that I have not addressed or like dealt with that makes sense because I'm having dreams about being in a place. I'm having dreams about it, right? I'm having dreams that I can't put together.
Okay, so we've got just to recap real quick. We've got being young, which is in the Bible naivety or being impractical, inexperienced, childish, immature. And then for you also think it represents maybe like feeling vulnerable or feeling in danger in some way. And then we have danger, which is feeling that, something is on the line, loss is imminent, anxiety, fear, and then being rescued, which is like maybe being at a place where you're ready to confront a problem that has been bubbling under the surface. So it feels kind of disconnected. We're not like, we haven't penetrated the meaning of the thing yet, but like maybe good context for if we were to look at a specific dream.
Yeah, let's do that another time.
Okay.
Let's do what another time?
You seem like you're frustrated by this.
Yeah, I don't know.
What is that?
I was just gonna say I don't know if this came up in the last episode. I might have already thrown this theory out there, but do you think your dreams lately maybe have to do with this podcast and like pressure to come up with something profound?
No,
because
it's not that. It's not that. It's not that.
Because we're just like a month into like actually releasing stuff, so like people are actually hearing us for the first time.
I don't think it's at all pressure to come up with something profound. I don't think that's it. And I think if anything, if it is related to the podcast, it's to do with it actually being out there. We're like talking about our personal lives, and that's everyone we know is listening.
Yeah, that's what I guess that's what I mean. Is the anxiety that comes from that, like having an audience, and specifically an audience for like psychological
it's like
kind of
going
digging.
to therapy with a peanut gallery. Like,
do you feel like you have a sense of what the meaning might be, or like a little bit of an insight into what it might be, and you're not comfortable getting into it on the podcast?
Yeah.
Are you hiding stuff from us, Olivia?
That's valid. No, that's totally valid.
Wait, I didn't hear what you said. Did you say yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm over here making fun of you.
I feel like, I feel like maybe I'll just leave. Maybe this will be a cliffhanger. And I feel like it's something that I'm like aware of, and I would like to consider how I want to talk about it.
Yeah. Well, it'll be an ongoing plot thread with the podcast.
Sure.
I have one that I was rearing to do.
Do it.
Let's see, 12/15. It's a couple weeks old. I'll crack another beer for it. All right, so I was at a comedy club, and I wasn't really paying attention. It was like a moody underground kind of comedy, like moody lighting is what I mean. Oh yeah, and I felt like I recognized the place. Like I feel like a popular TV show was shot there, but that's like kind of what I was thinking about instead of paying attention to the show. And then I noticed that the comedian who was on stage is now sitting at my table across from me, and everyone's watching. And he says into the mic, "Let me ask you something. Am I full of bullshit?" And he puts the mic in my face, and I'm picking up on the fact that this is like a catchphrase or something, and I'm supposed to say something. And I was just like, I don't know who you are. And then he's like clearly flustered, and he's like trying to improvise and recover. And he's like, well, what did you do last night? And I remembered in real life, I was just talking to my girlfriend and like right up until I fell asleep. So I was like, I talked to a girl until I fell asleep, and nobody laughed, and he didn't know what to say. And I was like, oh, that was like too cute and sincere for comedy, you know? And then after that, I'm walking with, do you know who Tim Heidecker is?
Yeah.
Tim and Eric. I was walking with him through like a zoo, and he's giving me shit for how the comedy show went. And I asked him, like, what? I asked him if it was cringe as fuck, and he goes, yeah, it was total cringe fuck. That's a great word for it. And he just kept mishearing me like that. And he was like, so you woke up to a talking girl? That's creepy. And I was like, no, I fell asleep talking to a girl. You didn't seem to like hear anything I said. And at some point the zoo turns into like a baseball arena, and Tim is also my friend Nick in real life. This is a person I actually know. And like he runs into friends of his, and we just all get separated and like lost in the shuffle. And I can't, it's like this giant baseball arena, and I can't get anywhere I need to go. Like I want to use the bathroom, but there's just like,
Oh yeah.
people are, and at one point I'm trying to get to the parking lot, but people just, everyone's in my way.
That's
There's just like
familiar
shoulder
dream.
to shoulder people, and they won't move. And the bathroom's crowded, the concession stand is crowded. So at one point I give up, and somehow I get back on this bike path, this like totally secluded bike path that exists in Castle Rock, Colorado, where my family used to live. And I'm just like, I'm walking alone, and I'm muttering to myself like, I don't know this guy's inside jokes. I don't know what I'm supposed to say at the comedy club. And like I was just like still bitter about this comedy show. And then at one point I look up, and it's like the sky's like purple, and there are two planes that look like they're in mid takeoff, but they're like frozen in the air, and they're like kind of intertwined. Like one wing is above the tail of the other, and they're just frozen there. And I'm wondering like I'm wondering about that. And I'm thinking to myself, like, what is happening? And that's when I hear your voice, Olivia, like in my head, like telepathically go, it's because the aliens want them. And that's when I noticed that there's a UFO emerging from like the suburbs nearby. And I get like super excited because you know how I feel about UFOs.
Yeah.
And I'm like fumbling with my camera. I'm trying to take a picture. The pictures are all turning out shitty because this UFO is going to like scoop up these planes that it's frozen in the sky. And just gradually it does that dream thing where you like gradually change location. And I realized that what I'm taking a picture of is actually a TV screen above a bed, like in a hospital. And I'm in the bed, and what's on TV is like some like chintzy show about aliens.
Not in the You're in the hospital.
Not really. It felt more homey than that, but it was that kind of setup, like cot kind of bed with a TV over it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, yeah, this show that's like CGI, like really cheap CGI of UFOs.
Was that the whole dream?
Yeah, that's all the parts that are related. It was there were other parts. It was longer, but like I kind of boiled it down to the through line of the.
Yeah. The first thing that came up, like before you got to the Tim Heidecker part, I was thinking like, it seems like you feel responsible for other people. Like you felt responsible for that guy's comedy set, but like you caused him to bomb somehow. Like, and then there was like misunderstandings in the early part. The early part seemed like much about like your like interpersonal interactions, like the comedy club through the Tim Heidecker part. And then it seems like the other part was maybe it's a different representation of the same thing, but like this seemed like distinctly different.
Yeah, the UFO part did feel like kind of it was transitioning into a new dream.
I have lots of UFO dreams too. That's like a theme in my dreams.
Yeah, we've talked about this, how yours are scary to you, right?
They're horrifying. They're terrifying.
Yeah, and mine are always like this where I get super excited.
Wait, let's read the UFO entry.
I have so many tabs open right now. Okay, UFO. To dream of a UFO represents experiences or situations that are unfamiliar, unexplainable, or strange. You may be having thoughts, emotions, or life situations that are unusual for you. A UFO may also reflect your ability to navigate an unusual situation in your life. A UFO is a sign that you are experiencing changes in ways you haven't experienced them before. UFO visions or dreams are common for people who take ayahuasca because they symbolize the unusual experiences or feelings a person has while under its influence. The UFOs reflect the unexplainable nature of the intense spiritual occurrences or the feelings of knowing someone you can't see is around you.
See, like,
Interesting.
that's
I've never
super
done
interesting.
ayahuasca, but I've been talking about it.
Really?
Yeah.
About you're thinking about doing it?
Not anytime soon, but I'm way more open to the idea
Yeah.
than I
But
ever have been.
You're more open to that, to doing ayahuasca than like other hallucinogens?
Oh, for sure.
That's interesting.
Hmm. Well, I've tried a couple others and had bad experiences, but I don't think ayahuasca is supposed to be fun. I think it's
No.
supposed to be a enlightening kind of thing.
That's just interesting that like a UFO dream to you, like you're maybe, let me know if this resonates, but like with this interpretation, it would be like you're excited by change and new experiences and like strange new happenings in your life. Whereas I'm terrified of them.
That's
Right.
the worst thing you can imagine, Olivia.
Imminent doom.
So just to kind of recap, because I agree with Olivia, the first half of that felt kind of reminiscent of dreams I've been having lately and
Oh, yeah.
like social navigation stuff. And then it gets
Mhm.
very much into like symbols. It's like very abstract after a certain point. So I have a bunch of tabs open in the Dream Bible. Just run through what we got. Comedy, comedian, zoo, baseball, crowds, airplanes, aliens, and then we just did UFOs.
Comedy, comedian, zoo, airplanes.
I don't know that I should just start rattling these off, but
I have some thoughts.
I do. Oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was just going to say I have dreams about comedy all the fucking time.
Yeah, that's
Sometimes-
a thing for you.
Sometimes I'm on stage. I think I've talked about this before too, where whenever I have a dream about performing music, which is the thing that I'm actually good at, it always goes poorly. Like my guitar's not working, or like people aren't into it, or I don't know the song. It's just, it sounds bad. Like music dreams are always stressful, but whenever I'm performing comedy in a dream, I'm always crushing it. Which I tried stand up for like 6 months and it's not for me. I never crushed it in real life.
yeah.
People have bad taste. We think you're funny.
And you
Oh,
think
well.
you're funny,
And
which
that's
is why
all that
That's true.
matters.
Cloud
if you're
sauce.
laughing, they'll start laughing with
Right.
you. That's the key. Make your jokes and then just laugh.
That's trying comedy was a good like lesson in being confident on stage.
Yeah, because once you bomb,
Yeah,
it's the worst thing that can happen, right?
that's it. Yeah. But so comedy is a recurring theme. Yeah, usually I'm on stage. Sometimes I'm waiting to go on stage. This is the only time that I've had a dream where I was like an audience member and the show was being thrust on me and I didn't want it. Because that was all the social stuff in the first half of the dream. The vibe from me was like irritants. Like I didn't feel like anxious or worried that I fucked up these social situations. I was like irritated by all of them. And I didn't want to, by the time I was on that secluded bike path, I felt more content, although I was still like obviously like annoyed by everything that had happened.
And it's interesting that like you were experiencing this social annoyance, like people are bothering you, and then that culminates in being like swallowed by a crowd and trying to get out of it. It's very like the people problems ramped up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And everybody was like just like literally physically in my way. And I had this right before Christmas, right before I left LA. So that part of it could be very real and conscious frustrations with living in a big city that I have all the time.
You said you had thoughts, Olivia?
Yeah, well, do we want to go through the dream chronologically, or because I have some like thoughts about random things, but
I think let's get some random thoughts out there.
all right,
let's
some
just dive
random
in.
thoughts that I have, because your image of the airplanes and the purple sky sticks out to me as like a very symbolic moment. We talked about purple a lot. Purple has come up quite a bit as like a a symbol of neutrality, right? Was it a light purple or like a dark purple or?
Dark purple. It was like a realistic, like it wasn't weird that the sky was purple, you know what I mean? Like it felt like it was like astronomical twilight.
Right. But it was purple still. And there were
Right.
two planes doing like a
Yeah, they almost looked like they had glitched out in a video game, like because they were overlapped. It was like two.
I was picturing like two birds mating midair, but
yeah, it wasn't quite that intimate. It was more like they had fucked up, like they weren't supposed to be whatever you call
slipped
it,
out.
whatever you call it in a video game, like nodes, like
Mm-hmm.
characters, like
They
glitching
clipped
out
through each other. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then they were frozen there, and yeah, and that was when it was like I had this dream right after we recorded an episode, so that might have been why it was Olivia's voice. But it was funny the way I thought a question and then a different voice answered me. I was like, why are those planes frozen? And then I heard Olivia go, it's because the aliens want them.
She was helping you analyze your dream from within your dream.
Yeah. After we had already stopped recording, I just kept doing the podcast in my sleep.
What do airplanes mean?
So airplanes, were these negative airplanes?
Oh no, I wouldn't say negative.
They were very neutral, just like the sky.
Would you?
I was interested in them. Like my feeling was, I guess I would call it positive because it was a feeling of like awe and wonder.
Would you say they were crashing?
No,
Didn't feel like a plane crash, do you?
no, they're like paralyzed. They're like frozen in time.
An airplane that aborts a flight?
Yeah,
what does
aborts
that
a flight.
mean?
I imagine like you're on your way somewhere and then they're like, no, we have to land and stop.
I thought it was that they push a button and everyone falls out the floor.
Let's see, we've also got flying to another country, invisible airplane, and then
Invisible airplane?
yeah, it's like a Wonder Woman thing, right?
Oh
Didn't
yeah.
she have an invisible jet plane or
Oh,
something?
yeah.
But in this, it says it may reflect feelings of uncertainty about your progress and situation.
Okay, so just regular airplanes?
Okay, plain old airplanes. To dream of an airplane represents the trajectory or momentum of plans, ideas, or projects that you wish to get off the ground. Positively, airplanes are a reflection of successful experiences that are progressing. Everything coming together to ensure desired controlled outcome. Dreams of airplanes can sometimes reflect our feelings about people dying or the journey of death.
Is this a dream about the podcast? Because it's like
It's a project getting off the ground.
a project getting off the ground, and then like immediately my voice comes in, and it's like they're kind of it's glitching out, right? Like something is maybe stalling, or I don't know. Is it like maybe a fear of like about the success of this project?
I don't think it's fear. The predominant feeling wasn't fear; it was curiosity. But it is interesting that the answer to the question, what are those planes doing, it's because the aliens want them, and then a UFO like emerged from the horizon to presumably like
Take the planes.
suck these airplanes up into it, you know.
And that's all about unfamiliar or new experiences, right? So that would connect, right? Because we're doing our podcast for the first time.
Okay, say the airplanes symbolize the project, right? And the UFO is the podcast launch, because that's the unfamiliar territory. We've been here recording for quite a while, and then the new thing is the aliens have come to take our podcast and put it out to the world.
This is I have a gig going on right now in the podcast world, and it's very exciting. It's not full time. It's like I'm hoping it will turn into something full time. I'm hoping this will grow into like a job and not just a gig. But you know, in the meantime, I got to pay rent, and I'm very stressed about that right now. It's kind of a slow season. Freelance stuff is kind of hard to come by, so I'm a little bit like frantic, like trying to figure out what to do. You know, I'm worried if I take a different full-time job, it'll get in the way of this like exciting opportunity. And this is going to sound like a tangent, but I promise it's going somewhere. Have you guys heard of O cards?
No.
OH.
Mm-mm.
It's this kind. It's like tarot adjacent kind of thing where you draw a card that's like the
Like oracle cards?
maybe I don't know what an oracle card is.
That's like a lot of the stuff we would do at our old job would be people that had their own deck, and it wasn't the traditional tarot cards, but like it'll be like
This is less like spiritual necessarily. It's not necessarily spiritual, and it's like a psychological game or like therapeutic kind of game. It's more like a conversation starter
I want some.
because you draw a card that's like a context. It's just like a box that says a word on the outside of it. And then you draw another card that is the image that goes in the box. And so you ask a question out loud, and then you draw those two cards, and you just start talking about it. And the other day, I was doing this with my girlfriend the other day when she was in town.
You blush every time you say girlfriend.
My girlfriend,
Love to see
it's a brand new relationship. I'm still smitten. But I asked it, my question was like, what should I do about my job situation? And the outside card said, wait. And the inside card was a picture of a green light.
Ha.
Huh.
That
It's like
plays right into a thought that I had while you were talking about your conflict.
Oh, please.
Yeah. So, okay. So planes represent trajectory, right, of a project, right? So whether things are going, and generally it's like, is the plane doing well? Is the plane failing? Is there a problem with the plane? Something like that. The status of the plane is the status of the project or idea or whatever you're working on. So you've got two planes clipping through each other, like disrupting each other and leaving you in a state where you got no idea what's happening with any of them, right? And so you said you've got this anxiety of like, what if these projects interfere with each other? You have multiple exciting things going on and you don't know where any of them are going. That could be representative of like feeling like you've got too many balls in the air or something.
Yeah, for sure. And then, yeah, so I feel like it's an interesting, or we laughed out loud when we pulled these cards that it would be like a green light, but it's saying wait.
Mm-hmm.
But it felt very much like the conversation that came out of that was about like, I mean, the old phrase, hurry up and wait. It does seem like something cool will happen. I just have to be patient. Like this podcast and the other one that I alluded to, are both very exciting things, but they're going to require some like patience. And so, yeah, I'm hesitant to like get another plane in the air and complicate things further out of like impatience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it is funny there was Olivia's voice going, it's because the UFOs want them.
Yeah, but like Olivia appearing in that moment, like she said, is kind of a clue that like she's involved with one of the planes in the air, right? You have some deeper awareness that like one of the things that you feel like is a new project that you don't know where it's going, and maybe you're not sure how to spend your time or whatever. Like Olivia's part of that.
Yeah, or it could be like, I mean, it could be multiple things at once, but
yeah,
it could be that like as co-member of the dream team, it was just like I said, we had just recorded when I had that dream, like how you're her dream Clippy, she might be my dream Clippy. In this dream anyway.
Yeah, or I'm coming in and like making scary faces at you.
Oh yeah.
So I'm gonna take a quick look at Aliens and see if it leans into this interpretation.
I've been having alien dreams too.
But yeah, the fact that the UFO was super exciting to me too was like important, I think.
Yeah.
Because I think the message of that part of the dream that I also got from the O cards was that, if there are too many balls in the air, like eventually the ones that aren't supposed to be there will fall. And the thing that is going to be the most exciting and successful will naturally take precedence. It will take over. And
so we got some competition for Zach's attention.
That's really
it's all podcast stuff. I mean, when I say balls in the air, like I'm also doing music and writing screenplays. I do too much shit. It could just be about professional prospects too.
This podcast is going to ride your coattails right to success. Oh, yeah. Okay. So aliens. To dream of aliens represents aspects of your personality that are unfamiliar, unknown, or unusual. An alien may also represent a situation in your life that you can't do anything about. You may also be observing or experiencing things that are not normal for you, things that may be hard to explain or understand. Yeah, I think UFOs are probably more relevant here, you know? Even though Olivia said aliens, right? The aliens want the planes.
I mean, they're very similar entries.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let me
What's
see.
the difference is that UFOs are experiences, whereas aliens are aspects of your personalities.
Right.
Personalities.
Yeah, that's what I wrote in my. What I put in quotes was wondering why they're not moving. I hear Olivia's disembodied voice say, "It's because the aliens want it." That's what I wrote, and I wrote it down like right after I had the dream.
So the aspects of your personality that are unfamiliar to you, unknown or unusual, that's what wants it.
Yeah,
According to
pilot.
Dream.
What I saw was a UFO. It's like presumed that it's being piloted by aliens, but
Yeah, I think these are new experiences you're having, right? And yeah, I think what it sounds like to me is you may be having some anxiety about there being so many exciting things happening and so much up in the air and so many prospects, and this is maybe something pushing you towards trying to enjoy the ride instead.
yeah, and trusting that there won't always be this many balls in the air. Like eventually, it will boil down to the most important things.
Yeah,
absolutely.
for sure. I'm wondering, like, okay, so like the dream that I think we talked about last time, that I had that had those two very different like scenarios. The one with like the techie airport thing with the robot owl, and then the one with the like old country road and the cult on the like the train tracks. Like those felt to me like a connected dream because there wasn't like a mark between them, right? It felt like one continuous experience, even though they felt very different. And those ended up being the same, meaning the same thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm wondering, because your dream to me, it feels like the first thing might be about something different, but I'm gonna assume, or I imagine that it's related in some way to this second part that we seem to have kind of
like I said, it was a long night of lots of dreams, but I wrote those down together because it felt like there was a through line story wise. Because when I was on the bike path encountering the aliens, I was still thinking about the comedy show.
Okay. Okay.
And also, this theory that we're coming up with now does make sense for the end part too, where I'm like laying in a hospital bed and finding out that I'm not actually taking pictures of UFOs. I'm taking pictures of a TV that's like showing ancient aliens or whatever. I think that part would be the fear part
that the experience wasn't
that none
as
of it was actually
exciting.
real.
Yeah, right.
That's the anxiety that instead of everything unnecessary falls away and the good stuff remains, it's that everything falls away and you're left with nothing at the end of the...
Yeah. I think a lot of dreams are like you having a conversation with yourself and you're just having a stream of consciousness and putting images to it in real time. I think the alien part was the peak of like feeling good about stuff. Like that's when that part of the dream, I was like in a state of confidence, like, yeah, everything will be fine. There's a lot of balls in the air, but like the most important ones will shine through. And then some other part of me came in and was like, but what if not though?
So like,
what if it's all just fake?
Right. I'm just thinking like something you mentioned earlier, that comedy to you is like a thing. It was a ball that you had in the air at one point and you have not pursued it because you were like, you've decided that you're not good at that or that that's not going to be a successful thing for you. Right. So like, and comedy is something that comes up in your dreams a lot. And I just wonder if for you that is like symbolic of some kind of like dropped ball, right? A ball that didn't make it. And then the thing that I was going to connect that to is that Tim Heidecker is somebody that is a
Mhm.
comedian that you idolize, right?
Yeah.
Or that
Big fan.
he's you're a big fan of him. And like,
And that was very
he-
frustrating in the dream to be like I felt like I was best friends with this idol of mine, but he wasn't like getting anything I said.
yeah, he was misunderstanding you, right? Like,
Yeah.
I don't like that does feel connected. If you look at it as a thing that didn't work out, right?
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the dream, did you feel trapped in the hospital bed, or were you just in the hospital bed?
No, again, I think it had the like setup of a hospital, but it felt like home.
Hmm.
I wasn't like thrilled to be there, but it's not because I was trapped. It's because I was like, because it was boring.
Gotcha.
I wanted to be abducted.
And you see, so the comedy entry, I think, plays into what we were talking about a little bit. To dream of a comedy show represents an experience you're having where you're noticing how ridiculous other people are being or how unimportant certain beliefs or situations are. Awareness of your own stupidity or that of others. Which I think if you're looking at this as like kind of trying to shift your own thoughts and feelings about something, from anxiety to, appreciation or joy or whatever, then it's like maybe an awareness of like a ridiculousness of your current mindset or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But also, like we've talked about, when something has specific meaning to you, that kind of can override whatever the Dream Bible has to say, right? And comedy is personal to you, so it's not quite the same thing.
Yeah, because then a lot of the dreams in my like recurring dreams where I'm performing, it like that feels like it's based on memories of having done that and like sort of the highs of being successful at that.
Yeah.
When you're doing comedy, are you in your dreams? Are you good at comedy usually?
Yeah, that's what I was
Yeah,
saying. Is
okay.
the paradox is that I can never do music right in a dream, even though like I'm actually confident in my ability to do that. Whereas like if you threw me on stage and we're like, do 5 minutes of comedy, I would have a panic attack. But in a dream, and it's always improv in a dream too. I'm not doing scripted material. I'm just riffing and I'm crushing it somehow.
There's something here about like being misunderstood or misperceived, right? Like, because I feel like in music where you actually do feel confident about that in your dream, you can't do it, right? And then comedy, like you feel like you're killing it, which is also kind of a misrepresentation, I guess, of you in your mind.
Yeah.
And then there's like the comedian in your dream was like confused by you, like in misunderstanding, or like thought what you were saying or doing was weird or like throwing him off. And then Tim Heidecker was misunderstanding you. I don't know. There's just something about like a skewed perception of you.
That's true.
The zoo entry is all about being bothered by, how stupid or, off the behavior of other people is, or how a situation is.
Really?
That's weird.
To dream of a zoo represents situations where you're noticing negative or primitive behavior in others, feeling comfortable that other people are stupider than you, a sense of isolation from crazy behavior. You may be near people who are less mature or intelligent than you are, which is kind of the experience you were having with Tim Heidecker, was like, he just wasn't getting it. He wasn't getting you. He was being kind of an asshole. Not wanting to get involved in silly or stupid matters could represent exploration or observation of something dangerous while keeping safe. And then down here, alternatively, a zoo may reflect disbelief at how childish, crazy, or arrogant a situation is. Enjoying observing other people act primitive or unintelligent in situations where there is no possibility for it to embarrass you. Yeah. So anyway, it seems like it connects in some way to your conversation with Tim Heidecker.
Yeah, and then it makes sense that could easily transition into the baseball arena, which felt the same, but it's also funny. The zoo felt empty. Like I knew it was a zoo, but I didn't see any animals.
Yeah, because the zoo itself was the stupid people.
To dream of a baseball game represents a mental or emotional struggle to cancel, stop, or eliminate something.
Weird. That's so.
Yeah.
It's one
So
of
it's
those
like-
dream Bible things that's like very specific for something that you would think would be very broad, like America's pastime.
Right.
A metaphor for conflict over an opportunity to get rid of a problem or an unwanted situation.
Yeah, that's interesting because it does kind of that transition of zoo to baseball game mirrors like your annoyance or disbelief at how poorly how your interaction was going, and then the desire to rid yourself of the situation, which you end up doing at the baseball game.
And then you're thinking about that interaction as you're walking or were you riding a bike? Is that what you said?
There was a bike
No.
trail that he's
You were
bike
on a
path.
bike path.
Yeah.
Okay. You're like,
No, but I
you're
was
walking,
walking.
but you're like ruminating on that, right? When this airplane situation happens, right?
Yeah. I'm trying to connect this to real life stuff, and the best I can do at the moment is that around the time I had this dream a couple weeks ago, I was feeling very, very burned out about just being surrounded by people all the time. I'm a pretty private guy. There's not a lot of he says on a podcast about like exploring your own psyche, but I mean just like physically, like in my day-to-day life, I'm pretty private, and there's just no reprieve in a city like Los Angeles. You're just always surrounded by people.
Are you feeling like a conflict in yourself between like your desire to like do the work and have the opportunities in your job that are available to you because you are in LA, and like your actual existence there, and like do you like being in LA or do you not like it, and
Not
it just has
really.
like yeah.
No, I'm kind of only here. I actually was just talking about this a lot recently with friends and family. Actually, between now and having this dream, that like, because I went back to Colorado for Christmas, and I forgot like how much I kind of missed it. I was really eager to leave, and then I came back and I was like, oh, it's pretty fucking peaceful. Like, I was in a Sprouts and there was nobody in there. I hadn't been in an empty grocery store in a long time, and I was like dancing around to the Sting song playing on the radio, and I was like, what is this weird sublime feeling? And it was just peace. It's just the grocery store near my house, you can go in there at 1:30 in the morning, it's still going to be packed. Not packed, but like not peaceful.
Yeah.
So it's pretty intuitive, but the crowd's entry like perfectly matches what you're talking about. It represents a need for space, privacy, or solitude. You may feel you can't think clearly or be honest about your real feelings, forced to conform.
Oh, right. But so that's what I've been talking to friends and family about. It's like, if it weren't for like trying to pursue career stuff, I would not choose to be in LA. California, maybe. California's gorgeous.
Yeah.
The whole West Coast, though, like if I could live anywhere and do my dream job from anywhere, I probably would come back to Seattle.
Come on up.
You probably, I feel like there are a lot of opportunities that could present themselves to you like that. Like something that you would be able to get, like the one that you're talking about, right? That could turn into a full-time thing. That something like that might not actually require you to be there, but it like required you to start there.
I think this one would require me to be there.
Okay, but like other things, right? Like
but if I
there's
did
a
it
lot
for a
of
few
jobs that-
years and moved on to something different, yeah, the arena in which I seek to like, have a career is podcasting, which can be done from anywhere now.
Yeah.
It's harder when you're the engineer,
Yeah, for sure.
but producer work you can do kind of from anywhere.
Definitely.
Isn't that what you're doing? Is that what your new
Yeah.
title is?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I thought.
The through line I'm seeing. So yeah, I think that if we try and connect these two halves of the dream, sounds like you've got day-to-day frustrations with LA, and like you're talking about like, oh, freelance work has been hard to find, like the day-to-day struggle of doing what you're doing. And so you had a whole journey of your frustration with that and your need for solitude. And then your dream kind of allows you to get that. You end up walking on the bike path, and then that's like you exiting those frustrations and anxieties. And then that brings you to a place where you kind of refocus onto the things you're excited about and the reasons why you're doing what you're doing.
Yeah, and it kind of it ends on, again, like an anxiety about that, right?
Right. Of, is this just an illusion? Is the reason I'm here just me fooling myself?
Yeah, because that's kind of been the trajectory of these conversations that I've been having about my real life. Is, starts with, I'm just so fucking sick of LA. I just want. I'm such an impatient person. When things don't go exactly the way I want it to, I have my finger on that like abort button. I'm ready to just like start over, pack up, move to a different city, try again.
Mm-hmm.
But this is kind of like, well, let's give it a few years. be patient. And then we can think about making a career change if nothing happens. But like, things are happening. It's not going to be overnight.
Yeah.
Well, we'll say, if you leave LA, this podcast is over. Okay, we need you out there hustling for us. We need you making connections. We're not going to do this on our own from Seattle. So counting on you, buddy.
All right, I'll try not to let you down.
I had a couple of dreams recently that stuck with me, and I had a realization maybe about their interconnectedness, and so I'm just gonna I've been doing dream interpretation homework, and I'll present here. But so I shared a dream a while ago where I talked about I was in a social situation with family. And I said something, and then it caused my grandmother to, horribly be maimed and injured, right? Do you remember that, Zach? Yeah.
Yeah, I think I just edited that one. I think that was episode 6.
Yeah, I think we were just listening to it, and that refreshed my memory of this. So I've had a couple other dreams recently that I think are connected. I had a dream where me and Olivia were going to go to what kind of felt like a summer camp, maybe, or like it had like camp vibes. And we were sitting down and like at some guy's desk, and there was like some kind of interview or whatever. We were supposed to go in and answer a couple questions that we had ahead of time, and the conversation went very poorly. And like, I was the problem the whole time. There was some question about what we were going to do there. And I thought there was like a joke in there or something like funny or interesting that I ended up like presenting lyrics to a song I had written. It was like a real song that I've written. And like, somehow it came into this dream as like how I was what I wanted to do or how I wanted to respond to this question. And he took like the lyrics or whatever, and he was like confused and offended and didn't know what to make of it. And then I tried to explain like, oh, it's like a joke. It's funny because it connects to this. And he like was having none of it. And it was just like a very uncomfortable interaction. And this guy made me feel like I was ruining his day and like making him feel uncomfortable. And then another dream that I had was we have 2 dogs. We got Casper and Friday, and Casper's like kind of a quiet, sad dog, and Friday is like an excited, rambunctious dog. And in my dream, she was being really loud and disruptive, and I was trying to manage her. And I was like trying to get her to quiet down, trying to get her to I was in this like battle of wills with my dog, and like something happened, and I think I like dropped something I dropped like her crate on her or something, and it felt very much like it felt with my grandmother, where like I dropped this thing on my dog and it like hit her really hard in the side. and she was like injured or like, you know, sad and upset, and the mood had shifted horribly, and like there was this terrible situation that I was responsible for. And yeah, I feel like all of these dreams tie together into this like real, like I have some social anxiety, and I have some like concerns about how I navigate talking to people, and all of these seem to like tie together into the sense of like not trusting myself to, you know, like be myself or be comfortable with people. You know, I feel like I have to, I tend to keep walls up a lot, and takes a lot for me
Same.
to relax around people. And it feels like it just keeps coming up in my dreams of like, I make a misstep and it has like horrible repercussions like that. And it's just like reinforcement of an anxiety that I have that keeps coming up in my dreams.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say that like that's a that scenario that is happening in your dreams is something that like seems to come up in real life too. Like you'll come away from interactions like concerned that you did make somebody uncomfortable, and like
Constantly.
yeah. And like I'm often there for those interactions, right? And like I feel like in this particular area, and kind of this particular area alone, because I do feel like you I don't feel like this applies broadly to you, but I feel like you don't see yourself very clearly in that particular situation, and that you have like a misperception of yourself.
Well,
and you're like
that's
really hard on yourself when you're having totally fine and normal conversations, and you're very pleasant to be around and people like you.
That's what anxiety does
Right.
to you.
Yeah, for sure.
It's definitely like a therapy thing, because it is a constant, like I will find a way to convince myself that like I upset someone or like bothered someone or was being annoying or being irritating or, you know, it just like stresses me out all the time. I constantly feel like I have fumbled like a social interaction, and kind of bums me out. I don't know.
Yeah, that is an interesting contrast, I guess is the word, to the dream of mine that we just did.
Mm-hmm.
Because it is also about like social, or there was an element to mine about like social interactions gone awry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and like being misunderstood, right? Or
yeah,
like
but
Yeah.
it's
your
interesting
intentions being skewed.
how similar Victor and I are. Like we're both introverts.
Yeah.
But the emotional response is just ever so slightly different. Like in your dreams, it results in like someone being injured or burned alive. It's like these grave consequences that cause you to feel deep shame.
Yeah. Guilt.
Yeah. And on my end, it's like anger and resentment for having being put in the situation in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's healthier. I feel like that's better.
I don't know.
I would trade my thing for your thing.
I think they both take years off your life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to walk around with this like ball of resentment up in my chest cavity.
I do feel like I'm walking around with a couple of things where it's like that is a therapy thing, but I don't really have any drive or interest in going to therapy, but like I can see.
I just don't have the money.
Yeah, it's like, well, I'm sure that would help with that, but I'm gonna keep limping along, emotionally broken. Yeah.
Something that I've heard a few times that has really stuck with me is that like you should go do your therapy work prior to having children, and because like if anything is going to trigger the fuck out of you, it's your own kids. And like anything that you're carrying around with you, like your kids are going to really bring that out for you. And so like yeah, I don't know, that's just something that has stuck with me recently. Like
it's called generational
I'll probably
trauma.
put it off until then, but
yeah, that's the circle of life.
Yeah,
your kids trigger the things in you, and then you react and you give it to them.
Right.
we talked about a dream of mine a while ago, and it was like Redneck Willy Wonka or whatever. That has really stuck with me, like, because that is a thing that keeps coming up for me. And yeah, for anyone that didn't hear that episode, yeah, I had a dream where the conclusion was kind of that I feel like I work on projects or put my time and energy into things, but they never like quite rise to being like legitimate, you know? And that's just like a constant. I was thinking about that today. I was just like, you know, I work on music and all sorts of projects that mean a lot to me, and I feel like I'd rather be doing something than be doing nothing, but I just can't ever seem to like crack into something that feels like real, like I've really done something, you know, that it always feels like I'm just like entertaining myself instead of actually doing something of value, you know?
What
know
would
exactly
that
what you mean.
mean? But like, what would it mean for it to be of value? Like, what would that look like to you?
That's the thing. It's like a feeling. It's like I feel like there's a feeling I should be getting that I'm not getting, you know? Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Isn't that just life though? Like you're not ever gonna be satisfied, right?
But I feel like I know exactly what you're talking about. But what I pin it on has to do with like recognition, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's a
Right.
big component of it for me, you know?
Like I never aspired to be like famous for anything, but like I always just wanted like a group of peers, like a group of people that know what they're talking about to like appreciate what I do.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
totally. Yeah.
It doesn't need to be everybody, but if like a community, I guess is the word. If a community of people like heard what I have written or this podcast or like anything that I do and it's like a community of people that like are into that thing.
I get that. I definitely get that. It's like it means a lot when people pay attention to something you make because they like it and they want to engage with it for themselves, not for you, not for any other reason, just because they get something out of it. And like that, Victor, that's something that has been really meaningful to you with music, right? Is like there've been a few people that have popped up here and there who've like really like deeply connected with your music and like brought like contacted you and talked to you about it, right? And like I imagine that is the kind of thing that feels like that makes what you've made feel real, right?
Yes, absolutely. You know, I feel like I've managed to eke out like a little bit of that like life satisfaction validation out of music in that you know, people that I know that I respect that are talented musicians like have a genuine appreciation for stuff that I've done. And then there's been a couple people, there's been a handful of people that have kind of popped up out of the woodwork over the years that have been like, hey, I listened to that album you recorded almost a decade ago and it was great and I really liked it. And that's like really, really meaningful to me in a way that's hard to express, you know? But I still feel like, you know, I'm still chasing that, I guess, on some level, on like a grander scale, you know? I still feel like I haven't become a version of myself that I am satisfied with, you know? I still feel like I'm searching for something. And for me, that looks like, well, I'm going to work on this. Oh, I have this idea. I'm going to try that. Oh, I'm going to work on this project. And so, yeah, not feeling like I've gotten anywhere with stuff eats at me.
But Victor, I feel like if you got to a place where you like felt like, oh yeah, I'm satisfied. I don't know, like what does that even look like? Would you like what then, right? Like I think I would go crazy.
Yeah, and I'm not talking about like I'm not talking about like true blissful,
Like
stupid
nirvana.
happiness, you know?
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Like where you just like, you achieve something where it's like, oh, I get to just like walk around in bliss for the rest of existence or whatever. But like, I do feel like I have not cracked legitimacy in a lot of places, you know? It's
Yeah.
like, I constantly feel like I am like on the outside or like on the outskirts of something. I have not reached a place with anything where I feel like I have really accomplished something where it feels real. I don't know. Yeah, that's just how I feel about it.
Yeah. No, I get that. Yeah, I guess what I meant by that was just that, like, I see you as a project person who, like, you're like a tinkerer, you know? Like, that's so, like, I guess maybe what
So there's always going to be another project. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, like, at least, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but
No, there's always going to be another project.
I guess, like, is it maybe more about getting to a place where, like, you can do your tinkering for you and not for the success of the project?
Yeah, man, I don't know. Yeah, this is like this kind of a this is maybe the thing that I'm most in my head about. So it's weird to talk about it. But yeah, it's I would never stop doing things. But yeah, I feel like, you know, I have this idea of like, ideally one day I will be an old man and I will be past the point of doing anything other than tinkering for tinkering's sake. And I want to be able to look back and be like, oh, I did that and I did that and I'm proud of that. And I don't feel like I'm there yet. I feel like if I don't know, I feel like I have a lot more that I'd like to accomplish. And yeah.
Well, don't go dying yet.
We'll see. I mean, I don't know.
See.
I think you've got some time.
Thank you for listening to The Young and the Restless.
You can follow us on social media at The Jung and the Restless Pod and submit your dreams for interpretation to thejungandtherestlesspod at Gmail.
And as we always say,
Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice.
Pick you a tiger.